What's going on, guys? Dan from SSG bringing you another Edison format deck profile. This time I'm profiling my Diva Hero deck, but this is a pretty special take on Diva Hero. I like this deck quite a bit, and it's very unique, so we're going to get right into it. I have, of course, one copy of Stratos, the heart and soul of the deck. Just gets everything going and does great work. We have two copies of Destiny Hero Malicious, very explosive card, as many of you may know, very powerful. Couple more heroes here. We have Eva Hero from the Prodigy. I like this card quite a bit, but only one in this deck, and there's a couple reasons for that. I'm playing a lot of unconventional cards, and I do just like the one copy of Prodigy. I usually run two or sometimes even three in my more aggressive Diva Hero list, so I do like the Eva Hero Prodigy, and I'm opting for one copy of Plasma. This is sort of a tech. I have a few ways to enable this card in this deck, and I think it's a very powerful card in Edison format. If you can actually land it, card is very strong, and it will win some games for you. We have two copies of Tomatoes. We're pretty low on targets for Tomato in this deck, but I think it's very important to get Malicious and Plague Spreader out of your deck as quickly as possible and really just get into some very powerful plays, and Tomato just really is a good starter for doing that. We have two copies of Caius. I actually like Caius at 2 usually in these style of decks. Some people go up to 3, some down to 1. I think 2 is a nice sweet spot. This deck actually enables Caius very consistently because of a few cards that differs from my list from a few others. But I do just like 2. It's going to be very consistent, very easy to summon in this list specifically, and it's going to do great work. Of course, it's Caius. Onto our Water Engine, of course, 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva, a very powerful card, one of the best normal summons in the entire format. We're going to be popping off with this card. We also like to run one copy of Spine Gilman. You kind of have to, but I do like it quite a bit. I think Spine Gilman just is pretty good. Just Diva, Gilman, and just attack is fine. Applying pressure without really committing to anything. And Spine Gilman's a fine card. I mean, you don't want to draw it, but it is what it is. One of the techs I play in this deck, one of my old school favorite cards, 3 copies of Crystal Seer. Now, this card is really unconventional. A lot of people might not even know what this card does. When it flips face up, it's a flip effect monster. You get to look at 2 cards at the top of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and then 1 at the bottom. The most important thing about this card, it is a water monster, and it is sort of like a Dekoichi effect. I like this card a lot because there's a lot of 2-card combos in Diva Hero that you want to assemble, like Diva Malicious. You want to assemble Diva Hero Prodigy Caius. You want to assemble these like combos, and this card is really good at finding the missing piece that you're looking for at any time. I also just like this card as sort of like a Dark Mimic. Of anyone who's familiar with Dekoichi and Dark Mimic in GOAT format, this card is basically that. It's just a little bit fast filtering that you're investing a normal summon into that, and there are risks like getting Caius while face down. But this being a water monster that looks at 2 cards on top of your deck and filters and replaces itself is actually quite powerful. And I think this card should see a little bit more play than it's like given credit for, because I mean, people just aren't playing this card at all, and I do think it does have a place somewhere in the format, and this is just a list I wanted to throw 3 into. It thins the deck out, makes you very linear and consistent by costing a normal summon sometimes, and it's totally fine. Looking at multiple cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very powerful, and being able to flip into 2 cards and pick the best one is quite good, so I like this card quite a bit, and if it ever lives, it's just free value, and you can like sack it for a Caius or something. But really good card that I've been liking quite a bit and have been building around. We also have one copy of Treeborn Frog for the just like for Caius plays and future fusion things like that. Card's pretty good. We also have Plague Spreader Zombie, of course, for our Dark Monster here. Very powerful. We want to have access to this as fast as possible. It does some really amazing plays for us. And, of course, Dark Arm Dragon. This deck's actually a little short on darks because we're playing so many water monsters with the Crystal Seers and Divas. But I do think the 2 tomatoes can help you get darks into your graveyard very quickly. And Dark Arm is going to be Dark Arm. It's very powerful. Now onto spells, 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. Now this is just great with Crystal Seer. You're playing cards that are just filtering and being really fast and consistent. It's really a lean machine type of deck. And I think it's really important to make Diva Hero as consistent as possible because, like I said, sometimes you're missing the 1 or 2 combo pieces to really pop off. And Crystal Seer and Upstart Goblin just, together in tandem do a very good job at enabling your miracle fusions, especially Crystal Seer being a water monster, but just getting down to the finding your Stratos as many games as possible and finding those miracle fusions in the late game as well. So I like the 3 upstarts, especially in combination with Crystal Seer. We then have 3 copies of Miracle Fusion. Of course, card's just busted. I think it's one of the best things you can do in format is special summon an absolute 0 to the board. Very powerful card, and I do like all 3 copies in this list. Now, some unconventional cards in Diva Hero. We have 2 copies of Instant Fusion. I like Instant Fusion for being as fast as possible. I like this card going second. I like this card comboing with Deep Sea Diva to make some really nasty extra deck plays. But ultimately, it's just an extender card. It helps make Kai's a little bit more consistent. And I think it just helps you find Mariner out of the extra deck, which is a hero water monster, which helps you enable Miracle Fusion so much quicker. And yeah, this card just does great work for me. I've liked it in my Diva Hero list lately. And then a new tech I've been trying out, 2 copies of Fires of Doomsday. I like the card quite a bit. It's really interesting, and I've been kind of building around it quite a bit because it's a good card, and it has a lot of flexibility, and I elected to try it here in Diva Heroes. It does quite a bit. I think being able to make your opponent kind of like die out of nowhere with like an Armory Arm play, right? This is sort of like a card you could set as a scapegoat. Of course, you can't summon the same turn to use it, just like scapegoats. You want to set it on your opponent's turn, flip it up on your opponent's turn in the end phase, get 2 tokens. Then like you can easily make like Diva plus the malicious play is Armory Arm and Colossal Fighter for the OTK, which I think is quite powerful. I also just, like the ability to make Armory Arm in general with these 2 tokens plus Plague Spreader Zombie is like pretty good. This also enables the Plasma that we play. This helps us sack for Kai's. I think this card does a lot of like unique things about like being able to push multiple plays. Like there was one play in testing where I set this card and I flip it over into a couple of back rows on the end phase. Then I normal summon Kai's. The opponent has to respond. And then I end up like removing a Malicious. I still drop a Plasma on that turn, or then I can follow it up with a Miracle Fusion after a normal summon Kai's. So very good card at just enabling multiple layers of attack on the following turn, and I like this card quite a bit at doing that. And having access to the Armory Arm is unbelievable. Even like a weird play like flip this over, then on your turn Diva into Gilman, make an Armory Arm with the 2 tokens, and then equip to the Gilman is like not bad. It's a big stick that can provide some burn damage for you. So I think this card's really unique and flexible. I like it in this deck. I just don't know if I would want 1 or 2. I do like the combo of Plasma. Maybe 1 and 1 like the old Scapegoat Plasma combo might be a little bit better, but I've been liking this card quite a bit. We have 1 copy of Future Fusion, just nuts card. We have Foolish Burial, very fast and consistent, as well as Reinforcements of the Army. I have 2 of the control spells, Brain Control, Mind Control, just really strong cards. We're going to be able to combo with Deep Sea Diva and go off. We have the 1 copy of Lord of Darkness, little low in darks, but this card is excellent. We have then the copy of Heavy Storm. Onto traps, pretty basic trap lineup, 3 copies of Wing Blast, really good at just what I find a lot of times is finding a good card to discard like Malicious off of the Crystal Seer, and then having a fast turn on that next turn when you end phase this card, get what you got off of Crystal Seer, and then just really go off and do something powerful. And would not be an SSG profile without the 1 copy of Trap Dust Shoe. We're going to open this card every game. Listen, we have the Crystal Seers to find us the Trap Dust Shoe. We have the Upstart Goblins. Our deck's really thin, but we're going to open that Trap Dust Shoe, and we're going to get our opponent. We're going to outskill them, of course. Onto the extra deck. Very unique extra deck because of all the extenders we're playing. We have the Armory Arm, of course, very powerful. We can make that quite easily. We have Catastor, Bryonic, Goyo. And then we have Arcanite Magician, which you can make with a Musician King out of the extra deck as well. We can summon Musician King off of our Instant Fusion, and then we can synchro with a level 2 tuner to make Arcanite Magician. Very powerful play there, and I like doing that play quite a bit, especially in a deck like this. It's just very powerful, very explosive. We also have the Black Rose Dragon. I don't like to make it in these type of decks because you always feel really bad after doing it. You don't have many resources after, but I think it's a unnecessary evil. We then have Stardust Dragon, Colossal Fighter, Darkened Dragon, busted extra deck card. We have Mistworm that can come up from time to time. All 3 copies of Absolute Zero. You got to make it. You got to play all 3. It just is what it is. Sometimes the 3rd one comes up. You have to do it. And then I have Mariner for the extra deck as well, so we can find it off of Instant Fusion and make our Miracle Fusions a little bit more consistent. Onto the side deck, 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. Just really good card. Very good extender with Diva, Kai's, things like that. Very, very strong card, of course. We have 2 copies of Snowman Eater. I like this card quite a bit. I think you need to play a little bit more of a grindy game versus the hero decks. And this card can just wall Alias and get a +1. Really good. And it's a water monster, which is very good. I think any water monster that's reasonable, we do want in our side deck. We then have 1 copy of Gores. No Gores in the main, so I elected to put it in the side. I think it's good in the matchups where you want it. Additional copy of Instant Fusion. I like this card going second and in most matchups. Just being able to try and like regain board, maybe have an Arcanite pop-off turn. Really strong card going second. I like the extra extender in the deck in that case. We have 1 copy of Lightning Vortex. This one kind of fell out of favor a little bit, but I've been liking it quite a bit. Again, I think this card, it's really important to have discard outlets in this deck, and we can just clear the board with this. We have the 1 copy of MST, 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 copies of Pulling the Rug. Really important to get protect your recruiters as well as your Crystal Seers from being Kai'd away. Really strong, and we can really flip the tempo when those cards live, especially the Crystal Seer when we get to flip it. Then 2 copies of Dust Tornado. Really good, solid card. We want to get rid of some back rows. Last card on the side is the 1 copy of Chimera Tech for the Cyber Dragons on the sideboard. And that is about it, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the deck in the comment section below. I like this deck quite a bit. I think it's really powerful and does some very unique things, as well as just being a powerful Diva Hero deck. I think Diva Hero is a very good deck. I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I think people kind of see it as like a mid-tier deck, but I think it's quite powerful, and I think it does, I like to just mess around with it because I think there's a lot of different tech that you can play in it, and this is the deck that I came up with. I think this deck is pretty sweet. I like Crystal Seer a lot. You should play it in your Miracle Fusion deck. See how it works out for you, because I've been really enjoying finding the pieces I need, as well as just being sort of a Dark Mimic, just like thin your deck out type of card that is a water monster, which is very important. That is about it, guys. So without further ado, this is Dan V from SSG signing out.